Welcome into Rounding the Bases.
Round the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg. It's around the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg.
Welcome into Rounding the Bases, the podcast about culture and leadership with a baseball twist, presented by Community America Credit Union. I'm Joel Goldberg, another great episode as we are early on in season 6. And my guest today is an interview that I recorded back in March with a dynamic woman who is a rising star in the Kansas City area and beyond. She's got a fascinating story. She's got extensive skills in project management, transportation and logistics services, commercial lending, marketing, management, coaching, strategic planning. Every time I look up, she's popping up on my social media screen. She's doing a lot of on-camera work as well. She is the founder and CEO of Plex Capital. Her name is Amanda Villarreal. Here is my interview with Amanda. Amanda, it's so good to visit with you, and I'm so excited to talk about all the success you've had, and not just that, but the background and the journey to get here, because it's truly, truly inspirational. First and foremost, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's nice to be in Kansas City as we're getting closer to spring.
Yes, as we record this in March and then April, and we're getting past all hopefully the pandemic stuff. It's been a crazy year, but I know that you have had a year and many years of incredible growth too. So before we talk about your background and this amazing journey to get here, CEO and co-founder of Plex Capital, LLC, tell me about that.
Yeah, of course. So Plex Capital is a commercial finance company that I co-founded alongside with my business partner, Josh Good. Josh and I have been working together for now going on 12 years, actually 13 years, my apologies. And we had the opportunity to be part of another commercial finance company that we were able to grow to a very successful company. And so, after leaving, we decided to start something of our own. And it's been an incredible journey. We started in August of 2019. And we really just went into a pandemic when the world was shutting down. But we've had a lot of major successes. And here I am. I couldn't be more happy to be able to tell the story about Plex Capital and how that is impacting my personal life and also our community here in Kansas City.
Well, let's talk about that too, because I think what really struck me when I met you, and we were introduced by Carlos Vides, who's been a past guest on the show. I would encourage everybody, if you never heard that episode, to check it out. It's episode 206, so it's a little while back. But Carlos had one of the best stories that I have been told, to the point where it worked its way into my book. And in your case, I know that you have an amazing story too. So I want to get there. I'm grateful that Carlos introduced us, and he said to me that Amanda Villarreal. Did I get that right?
I love it. I think you did awesome.
What Carlos said to me was, this is an amazing woman who is just crushing it in every single way. You have to meet her. She's on the rise. So I was interested because when I met you, to me, you sort of sounded like, oh, I'm just getting started. and that to me is the sign of a champion, a winner, of someone that says, yeah, I've done a lot, but I've got so much further to go. Tell me about that mindset.
Absolutely. It's just anyone that has worked with me or know me, they will describe me as someone very driven. To me, I'm not so necessarily focused on building, attaining materialistic stuff. It's more so testing my limits and knowing how I can become more. And I think that every human being has the capacity to attain any level of success. And really the way that I look at my life right now, yes, I've made progress. Progress definitely drives me. But what I would say is I'm just heading to the airport to take off. And that's kind of like the visual thing that I have is okay, I've been prepping my whole life, the experiences that I've had in my childhood, and then also with my career and personal experiences as well. But as I take all of that, I see that as just me packing and saying, okay, it's time for me to head to the airport and really take off. And that's really where I'm at. I don't feel that I have accomplished a whole lot. There's so much more that I want to accomplish, and I am definitely ready to just get on board and say, okay, I'm ready. Let's do it.
So Plex Capital is obviously doing well. I know there's so much more that you want to do that you will do, but let's go back to the beginning too, to childhood, how you ended up in Kansas City, and I know very modest beginnings too. So tell me about that, your childhood, and how it's really affected who you are today.
Absolutely. So originally from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, I came to the States at the age of 5 with both of my parents and 3 older brothers at that time. We immigrated. We came, in late 80s, early 90s. I can't recall exactly when, but I was about 5 years old. So it must have been late 80s. Immigrated, lived in Southern California in very poor conditions. We lived in a camping trailer for a couple of years without a bathroom. So my dad had to get creative and built one right next to the trailer outside. And I had the opportunity to work at the age of 5 picking grapes in Southern California. So that teaches you a lot when you see your parents struggling and having to work with them in order to put food on the table. It was difficult, but I think it's really what has made me who I am right now. So came to the States age of 5, started working at a very young age. Really, my environment was of a lot of limitations. I really didn't know anything about Johnson County or couldn't even imagine a life in Johnson County. But fast forward to 2000, my parents decided that it was time for us to try something new if we wanted to prosper and attain the American dream. So they both had family here in Kansas City, specifically in Olathe and DeSoto. They decided to pack the little belongings they had and move to Olathe, Kansas. And so I was a junior at that point and started my junior year at Olathe North. And then from Olathe North, I started to see just different things. I noticed that my classmates had parents that were lawyers and doctors. And I was like, wow, this is different. Like, I've never been exposed to any of this. And it just piqued my interest. And so from there, I decided that I was going to go to college. No one in my family had ever graduated from high school or, for that matter, gone to college. But I was determined that I wanted to do something else and I wanted to break the cycle of my family. So I started to ask questions. I started to seek advice. And I was the first one to graduate from high school. Then went on to earn my paralegal degree and then my bachelor's in management. And then finally earning my master's in business administration from Baker University.
It's such an awesome story. And I as you were telling it, I was wondering this. Every kid, and adult for that matter, everyone has big dreams. Did your dreams change after you were exposed to different people and seeing that other world of lawyers and doctors, or did you have big dreams growing up as a little kid in Mexico and then in California?
When you live in such a small environment, Joel, you have no other options. You don't think that there's anything else to the world. So you're not exposed to anything else better than that. You're on survival mode. And I didn't have any idea that owning a big home or having a company or me going to college, like there was that seed had not been planted because I didn't have anything else to look at other than living in a mobile trailer parking lot and going and working the grape fields of Southern California. So that was not necessarily something I was exposed to. I think the chances of succeeding really changed for me when I was exposed to the life of Johnson County. And so that piqued my interest. I knew that my parents had struggled their whole life. We had experiences where we had gone to the grocery store to buy a gallon of milk and we were not able to afford a gallon of milk. And so those stories those experiences stayed with me. And as I was exposed to something else better, such as the life of a Johnson County lifestyle, I thought, okay, there's a chance that there's something else. So what are they doing and how can I do that? And it took a lot, especially going against my culture, because that was not expected of me. What was expected from me was to get married at a young age and have my husband take care of me. That was it, nothing else.
So how much pushback did you have then from, let's say, your father, because I'm guessing that if you're talking about the culture, this is an old school father. I'm guessing, I might be wrong here, that had something else in mind.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I have not shared this story with a whole lot of people, although I did recently on Her Life magazine when they did the interview a few months ago. And my parents, more specifically my dad, he does have that machismo type of personality. And I don't think he was hoping much for me. And I remember graduating from high school, and right away after the ceremony, we came home and we were standing right at the entrance of the house. And I'm asking my dad to co-sign for me. And I'm asking him to help me go to college because, again, we didn't have it necessarily any guidance as far as what I needed to do as far as getting grants or anything like that. It was just me trying to find a way. And he looked at me and basically said, in a very colorful way, forget about this, get married, someone will take care of you. And I remember that experience. And really, I got to thank him because it gave me so much fire to say, I don't think you know who you have as a daughter, but that is the last thing that I will be doing. I will not just get married and have someone take care of me. I need to be independent, and I need to go and build and create my own future. And so I think that little thing that he said, again, in a very colorful way, made a huge difference. And there's a lot of drive that comes from that experience.
So how much has the world changed, say, in the last 5 years, 10 years? We certainly see so much nationally about the Me Too movement, but there's another layer here with your culture, the Mexican culture, the Latin American, the Hispanic culture, of exactly what you just described. Is that starting to change? Certainly it's your generation, my generation. You're a little bit younger than me, but I think it's our generation where we'll see our peers that will start to lead the way, like yourself. And then, your kids, my kids' generation will know no other way. Whereas you didn't know this way at all. You had to find it and you had to be driven and push against that culture. Is it starting to change?
I think that slowly here in Kansas City, we're seeing a little bit more. You got to remember, we're in the Midwest, so diversity continues to grow. We're seeing more role models that are, brown, white, black, whatever. So we're seeing more role models, and I think that that will make a difference. In California, in places like the East Coast or the West Coast, you're going to have a lot more role models that are diverse, more females, more Mexicans or Blacks. Here in the Midwest, I think we're starting to see that. And Kansas City certainly has been a place where it's the perfect platform to do it, because in the last 10 years, we've seen the increased number of diverse people. And so I think it will start to change. I still think that we need to do a lot more. I think we need representation. Representation is huge. We got to be able to get out, and platforms like yours, for example, are great to be able to go to a school where it's primarily Latinos or Blacks or whatever community you want to focus on, and bring the representation and say, people like you can come and attain success. There are some things that you got to do, such as put in hard work, because nothing comes easy. It's always hard work. It's resiliency, is keep going, just dreaming big and really trying to destroy the illusion that society has created for all of us. All of those systems that make no sense, right? Systems are good, but some systems will keep you at the bottom. And so being able to spread the word throughout, I think that is critical. And I really love what you're doing because, of course, kids love baseball and they love all of that. Certainly you're a well-known person here in Kansas City. And so being able to utilize your platform to go and spread the word and also bring representation is critical. And I think that we got to continue to do that.
I couldn't agree with you more. And it's not just me. I'm lucky enough to have a platform because of baseball where maybe more people will be paying attention. And so that's one of the payoffs. You have a platform as well that is growing. And you just talked about being a role model. So I want to go back to starting Plex Capital. And certainly if people want to learn more, they could go to plexcapital.com. But when you started this, and I always love this question, what were your goals when you started it? And what are your goals now?
Oh, God. It's quite interesting. I had the opportunity to gain a lot of experience in the corporate world from various different companies that I work with, but one in particular that I worked the longest with. And it's quite interesting because I never thought about owning my own business. I thought being at the executive level that I was with that company that I had made it, and I could have not been more wrong than ever. And so when I left, it just kind of opened up a lot of opportunities for me. And so when we started, we said, we're going to go do it, but we're going to go do it big. So we're willing to commit the next 15 years to go and build something that is going to be of substance. We want to build a company where people can come, be as authentic as they are, be able to grow, be able to provide for their families, and a company that is well known and respected for being human, for being able to treat their employees the right way. And so what we also said was we want to go and build a huge company. We have a number in specific. I will not be sharing that number, but there is a specific number that we feel we will be able to say, okay, we did it. And we feel very comfortable saying that we can attain that within the next 5 years. And it is a pretty lofty number. So that hasn't changed. I would say what has changed for me is just the unlimited potential we have to make an impact in our community. And when I say our community, it's not only here in Kansas City, it's nationwide and possibly international as well. I thought about every aspect of the business. I thought about how I can make an impact. When I think about what the company looks like in 15 years, I think more so about how our success will impact the legacy that we can leave behind. And so I think I've been focusing a lot more on that, and that really drives me. So without giving specifics as far as the numbers and the goals, they continue to grow, and I continue to see many other opportunities. We're working on our second company that is in alignment with Plex Capital, so more to come in the next few months as well. And it's just kind of like it has become kind of like a limitless type of deal for me. Yeah.
So what do you view as your why, as your purpose, or maybe put simply, what do you love about Plex Capital and what you do every day?
Well, I love working with dreamers. Our company does focus on providing alternative finance to businesses in the B2B space. So if you are a brand new entrepreneur that is servicing another business, selling services or goods to another business, more than likely it's going to be difficult for you to obtain financing. And so we, at Plex Capital, we go and provide financing to all of those businesses that are not bank ready. Maybe they're too new, or maybe they're growing too fast, or maybe even with COVID, their line of credit has been decreased and now they need to find capital elsewhere. What I love is that the simplicity of how we do it makes it accessible to all of those entrepreneurs. And if we go even beyond that, a little bit deeper than that, is really the dream. I love speaking to new entrepreneurs when they're like, oh, can I do this? Should I do this? It's a little scary. And then they get on the phone with me, or we are doing a video conference call. I'm like, of course you can. I go through the list of things that they should have, and they're like, yes, I have that. Yes, I have that. Okay, then what's holding you back? And so I love being that person that triggers that thing of like, I can go do it. Amanda said that I could, and I can go do it because I'm going to have the support there.
Well, and also because you have, right? I mean, we live in a world of storytelling, but when you can share with those young entrepreneurs, and they may not be young, by the way, either, first-time entrepreneurs, they have that trepidation, they have that fear of jumping out of the airplane, so to speak, and we'll get to that a little bit later, but you can share your story. I would imagine that helps too.
It does. It's interesting because I don't necessarily go into selling mode as soon as I meet someone. I like to get to know that human being. So many of the times when I have that first introduction, we don't even talk about financing. We talk about that individual's dreams and what's driving them, and really getting into the emotional side of things where it makes that connection. And of course, I share a little bit about my story. And at that point, everyone has their guard down. No one is selling to anyone. It's more of like, hey, Joel, well, tell me more about who you are and what led you to this, and about your family, your kids, and what's your story. We all have a story.
And people like being asked about their story. Oh, maybe not always. I mean, sometimes it's not a story they want to tell, but when you can build that trust, it goes so far. Okay, my baseball themed questions now, brought to you by Kissick Construction, trusted team, reliable partner. Check them out at kissico.com. For you, professionally speaking, now in this very successful and still growing career, what's the biggest home run you've hit?
Plex Capital, for sure. Yes. I would say Plex Capital has been the biggest. I might have mentioned this earlier. I thought I had made it when I was in corporate America. I was blind. I was in a cage, that, I mean, it just it limits your view of what could be. And I would say when I opened up Plex Capital, everything became just limitless. There's nothing that you can tell me I can't do, because I will show you that I can. And it's not a matter of proving you, it's a matter of proving me that I'm capable of doing it.
Very powerful. And look, I hear so many people that consider themselves, recovering corporate world people. There are many others that thrive in that setting too. It's just not for everyone. And it sounds to me like you figured that out.
Yes. I think that's one of the biggest blessings, to be able to figure that out, especially in my mid-30s. I think that, I couldn't be more thankful for that experience. As shocking as it was, it allowed me to open up and see a world full of possibilities, where now I'm so ingrained in the community and building Plex Capital, and just it's just a different world, Joel. It's hard to explain, but I would say that is my biggest home run, opening Plex Capital. Yeah.
All right. So how about a swing and a miss, and what did you learn from it?
Oh my goodness. So full disclosure, I did get married at a very young age. I think I was trying to escape that culture that I was telling you about, the Mexican culture of like, you're going to get married, have kids, and forget about everything else. I was married by the age of 17. And so that taught me a lot. I would say that I'm divorced. And so I have a 17-year-old son and a 7-year-old. And so through that experience, it taught me what a true partnership should look like, and what it shouldn't. And so that's the biggest experience where I've gained a lot of wisdom. And, even now as a business partner, I can transfer a lot of those things that I learned from to this business partnership.
Very interesting. And then the last question with the baseball themed will be small ball. What are the little things that add up to the big things?
There's several things. So especially in 2020, we all learned so much with COVID, and still going, right? But I would say the consistency of showing up is critical. Even when you're just staring at the computer, something will happen where you're just bored to death, and the creativeness is going to kick in. So consistency of showing up and ignoring the noise. And for me, that came true last year as we started Plex Capital. Again, we started the company back in August 2019, but we had to address some other matters in order to get the business going. So 2020, we started the year all optimistic about the new business, and then super fast in March, the world is shutting down. And so while everyone was running to go get toilet paper, I was putting on my high heels, my makeup, and showing up to the office. I didn't have a single client, but I was showing up, and I was ignoring the noise. If I watched 10 hours of TV last year, that was a lot. I was trying to protect really my mindset and not let myself fall into something negative where the world was going to end. So for me is consistency of showing up and ignoring the noise. Those are two major things that I follow. And I feel like that's the reason why the success that we've had so far, because we could have just shut down and said, okay, well, maybe this is not going to work out. Maybe this is a sign. And we did completely the opposite. We were showing up to the office, and I kid you not, we were so bored at staring at the computer and saying, okay, like, what do we do now? And through that, we came across a lot of opportunities, which the goals that we had for 2020, we were able to hit by July of 2020 in a very small period of time. And so far this year, we put some lofty goals for 2021. And I am happy to announce that by the end of this quarter, first quarter, we're going to hit the numbers that we had projected for 2021. And there were lofty goals. So very, very excited about that. And, of course, very blessed as well.
Amazing. A great lesson that while we sometimes have to press the pause button, that doesn't mean we need to stand still. And so there are a lot of people that needed to back down or back away, but there are so many stories like yours. And I experienced it too, where it was like, in my case, okay, I'm out of work for baseball. I have this once a week podcast. Let's do more. Let's dive in. Let's go from on stage to virtual speeches. Instead of waiting, finding a way to push forward. And I always say the show goes on.
Yeah.
Now, there's a choice of whether it goes on with or without you, but the show always does go on. That's life. Okay, 4 final questions as we round the bases. I alluded to jumping out of an airplane before. This one I never have, and I love it because we always send to our guests a little questionnaire looking for something kind of interesting or something truly unique. And you have this fear, but yet this ability to do something else that I would think would be impossible. So tell me about your fear and then this thrilling love or passion that you have for doing something that I would say is a little crazy.
It's a little crazy. Like I even get scared for how crazy it is. Okay. So roller coasters, hate them. Oh my goodness. I hate them. I'm scared. I am so scared. And
Me too.
I've gotten on roller coasters, but I mean, you got to drag me. However, if you ask me if I could get into a hobby, I would say that skydiving would be my hobby. It's so scary that I don't get scared jumping off a plane.
So if I told you right now you're going to jump out of a plane in 2 hours, would you be scared and then be fine once you got there? Or would you be like, all right, let's go?
No, I would say, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah. It is scary. It is scary and I'm trying to figure out where does that come from, because there is this thrill of just like saying I'm free, and it's beautiful. Now I can't do it, because I own a company now, so there are things that come with that, and such as being a responsible business partner. But I would do it as a hobby. Oh, absolutely. You have no idea what the thrill is. It's just out of this world.
I have no idea what the thrill is. You're right. Although the roller coasters scare me. I have a few phobias. One is roller coasters. One is needles. I've learned, with the flu shot being beneficial and the vaccine that just suck it up. It's just a needle. And then roller coasters, if it doesn't go upside down, I might consider it, but there's no way that I'm going to be turning upside down, or if it's just ups and downs and crazy stuff, I might hang on, but I don't know.
No, not me. My whole system just gets out of control, and I can't do it.
I'm readily willing to admit that all that stuff scares me. Okay, second question as we round the bases. You started to delve a little bit into my profession of television. I feel like every now and then I look up on social media and I see Amanda in front of a camera with our friend that previously mentioned, Carlos Vides. I think there's a deeper message there too, because he's doing some great things in the Hispanic community and really getting out in front of that camera and mentoring people. Tell me about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so this is a project that came to be, first of all, last year I was invited to do a business radio talk show through one of the radio stations here in Kansas City. And so I took it on and I said, okay, I can go and talk about a little bit about everything regarding business. And that led to, well, why are we not doing it in front of the TV, in front of camera? And so I have a good relationship with Carlos, and we both feel passionate about having representation, being able to reach out to the community. And once again, when I say community, it's not only here in Kansas City, it's beyond Kansas City. Anyone that is willing to listen and anyone that wants to see something different for their lives, right? And so we said, okay, why don't we start a TV show? And so we got together. We were having happy hour at a bar, and we came up with the name. So it's Innovative Minds. And Innovative Minds is really just being able to go in and talk to people that have had success or are having success, about their life story, what has led them to be where they are, what's next for them, and then just really sharing those stories with the viewers. And so that is something that started at the beginning of this year. We had been working on that since late 2020, and it's been great. We're kind of testing the waters. We like what we're seeing, and I think that it's going to become something big, and it has the potential to reach a bigger audience internationally as well.
It's cool. It's a great setup. It's a beautiful studio. And, I had a chance to take the tour and talk a little bit to one of the classes Carlos was running. And so it was really neat to be able to see all that. Third question, as we round the bases, you talked about being in Her Life magazine. And then there's another one. I feel like every time I look up, you are being written about or photographed or photo shoot, which is a sign of the fact that you are catching people's attention. You are inspiring people. Your story is inspiring people. What's that been like for you? The kid that grew up picking grapes, coming over Mexico to California, now you're being featured in magazines and all these write-ups and articles. It's got to be pretty amazing.
It's pretty amazing, but I think that more than anything, I'm honoring all of those that have come before me. I'm big on that. There has been many people that have paved the way for me to be where I am. And it's now my responsibility to continue to pave the way for those that will come after me. And for me, that's critical. If it would have been a few years ago, I think there would have been a little bit more ego involved. But to me, I've left the ego behind. It's really more of just being grateful for the opportunities. And if you could see how sincere I am, I mean, like I embrace humility, and I embrace all the opportunities that God has given me, because that's not me, that's him. I'm a believer. And I think that, he put me here to make a difference, and I want to honor that to the best of my ability. So as cool as it is to be on in the magazine and do all of those things, that's great. But I see it as an opportunity to go and hopefully inspire other people to be more and do more, because my whole thing about this is just, I don't want to hold the world back. I want to move the world forward. And so everything that I do is making sure that I am not costing you more money or anyone else. Like, I want to be able to say, in the end, yes, I pull my own weight with the help of many people, but I didn't necessarily drag everyone down. And so it's with a lot of humility and a lot of grace that I take on everything that all of the magazines and all the different publicity that I'm getting. It's just, I take it on with a lot of humility and a huge responsibility as well to continue to be the best version of Amanda. It's
going to serve you well for the rest of life and in business. You know that. I don't need to tell you that. But there comes a point where you just, you could be the most driven woman or man, whatever, and be winning every single day. But you're a little bit younger, and then you just get more mature, and it's what we always say in sports: act like you've been there before. And then there are those that act like they've been there, and there are those that are, celebrating like this is the greatest thing ever. And it just sounds to me like you've, in the most humble of ways, found that sweet spot where you could be humble but still incredibly driven. You understand that you've worked for all of this, yet you're not satisfied, you're not complacent yet, and you have this great appreciation. It's such a beautiful combination of traits to have, which leads me to the final question, the walk-off. You talked about role models, and especially female role models in the Latina community, and maybe those are more evident or in greater numbers on the coasts, as you mentioned, growing here in a place like Kansas City, which has a wonderful Hispanic population. But how much of a responsibility do you feel in being that role model?
Oh, it is huge. It is absolutely huge. And that's the reason why I decided to get involved with Innovative Minds, the show that Carlos and I are doing, because I think that it is critical. It is my responsibility to get out there. And it's not only with Hispanics, it's with everyone. I think that we all need that role model. I have never had someone come and mentor me, but strategically speaking, but I've selected my role models. Oprah Winfrey is one of my top role models that whenever I'm down, I pick up a book or I listen to one of her shows. Steve Jobs is another role model for me. And so, even though I have not had anyone strategically be my mentor or my role model, I've adopted those role models, but not many people know how to go about it. So it is my responsibility to be able to get in front of all of the, all the youth, and not only the youth, everyone that is wanting a better life for themselves. So it's something that I embrace, and I think that in the near future, you will see me on stage talking a little bit more about that. And then also through a book that hopefully will be released by November, which I'm pretty excited about that book as well.
Yeah, I know a little bit about that, not a lot, but I know it's in the works. So we'll have to keep our eye out for the book. Amanda on Stage is something that I believe will be a great thing, and something that we all and audiences can see for many, many, many years, to be able to share your experiences and strategies and inspiration. One quick final follow-up here on everything that you've just talked about too. And I don't know, so forgive me if this is sensitive, and I don't know if your parents are still around or not, but I'm just curious what your family thinks about everything that you've accomplished.
Oh, well, great question. My parents, they live in Olathe. My whole family lives in Olathe, and I'm very close to them. We don't talk much about my career. My father, when he's a little under the influence, he'll get a little sentimental, right? And because that's the machismo side of him. He won't tell me when he's not drinking, but when he's drinking, the emotional side will kick in, and he'll come and give me a hug and just say, I'm very proud of you. I don't think they understand really everything that I'm involved in and what I'm doing. I don't talk much about it because I try to keep our relationship, especially with my siblings and my sisters-in-laws and all of them, where whenever I see them, it's not to talk about my success. Yeah. It's to embrace each other and just, talk about life, but not necessarily all about Amanda. Certainly they see the publications, and my mom, she's funny. She has copies of the magazine everywhere. And
of course.
And when it came out, she went and showed her coworkers, and they're like, she's your daughter? And she's like, yeah, she's me, my daughter. So, that's the extent, but I don't talk much about really anything related to my career other than I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And, to my children, I do. So they see everything that I do, and they ask questions. But my son, my 7-year-old, will be glad that this one is in English, because every time that I show him one in Spanish, he's like, I don't understand. Why are you not doing English ones? Like,
Well, a shout out to your 7-year-old for the English interview. There are many Spanish interviews with Amanda out there as well. They all work, as you are sharing your incredible journey with so many, and from picking grapes in the field as a young girl to running a company now, a book on the way, speaking, other endeavors that you can't quite reveal yet, but there's stuff coming. I'll just tell everybody a couple of things. One, you can go to plexcapital.com, certainly, to learn more about what they're doing. And you can find Amanda all over social media and check out all of those sites. So you can find her on Instagram at Amanda Villarreal KCK. Amanda Villarreal KC is her Facebook page. So she's all over. It won't take much to find her at all. Amanda, this was great. I'm so glad to have gotten to know you during these crazy times, and excited to continue to follow your journey. Thanks so much for spending time on Rounding the Bases.
Joel, thank you so much for having me. And thanks to all of our viewers as well. Thank you for allowing me to share my story. I appreciate it.
For more information about Rounding the Bases, as well as my speaking services, you can visit our website at joelgoldbergmedia.com. You can follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Links to all are in the show notes. To watch this episode or others, subscribe to our YouTube page. It's free and can be found on YouTube by searching Joel Goldberg Media, or there's a bit.ly link to all the episodes in the show notes. Colleen Lotes is the producer and editor of RTB. Danielle Welsh, owner of Bridge Consulting and Design, handles all of my marketing with the assistance of Andrew Drake. The catchy theme song comes from entertainer A.Y. Young, and Sierra Smith is the go-to for bookings and keeping this operation running smoothly. My name is Joel Goldberg. Thanks for checking us out, and hope to catch you next time on Rounding the Bases, presented by Community America Credit Union.
It's around the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg.